Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Presiding Officer, I'd like to seek your guidance on the procedures surrounding the correcting of the official report. I have here a letter that I received last night from Sir Robert Choate, who is the chair of the UK Statistics Authority. After I alerted the authority, it has investigated the SNP and Green government's claim that Scotland has 25% of Europe's potential offshore wind resource. Sir Robert confirms that these figures are in fact a mashup of several different studies that are more than 20 years old. He confirms that the Scottish Government's calculations exclude countries like Norway, Sweden and Finland, which have large offshore wind potential. And he confirms that the figures give an inflated picture and were always inaccurate. The letter specifically says, and I quote, "On 15th November, the Minister for Green Skills, Circular Economy and Biodiversity, Lorna Slater, Scottish Greens, acknowledged in Holyrood that the figure was outdated, but not that it was poorly constructed. In other words, it was never true, and it is time for the SNP and Greens to give up the spin and admit that. The First Minister's spokespeople still insist that it was, and I quote, calculated accurately at the time. Not true." Michael Matheson, the Cabinet Secretary for Net Zero, has even written to me this morning to say the figure is dated, not true. And it is still on SNP leaflets going through people's doors. The authority is now contacting the Scottish National Party and a number of nationalist parliamentarians directly about this. Now, I fully support the expansion of Scotland's renewable sector. I can't believe that Michael Matheson is actually leaving the chamber at this stage, Presiding Officer. I find that very disrespectful. I fully support the expansion of Scotland's renewable sector, but the strong case for that is undermined when the Scottish Government, and the SNP in particular, use figures that are completely fictitious. This Parliament's guidance states that corrections can only be accepted within 20 working days. Can I therefore seek your guidance on whether you have been approached by Lorna Slater, Presiding Officer, about her statement to Parliament on the 15th of November? Do you, Presiding Officer, expect a correction to be lodged before the 20-day deadline expires next Tuesday? Because I am concerned that Parliament has been misled.
Can I respond to Mr Cole-Hamilton? It is of paramount importance that members, including ministers, give accurate and truthful information to the Parliament, correcting any errors at the earliest opportunity. If a member has a question about the factual accuracy of another member's contribution, they should raise it with that member. The Chamber and the member will be aware that the Parliament has previously agreed a corrections mechanism and how that mechanism operates. To answer your question, I have not been approached by the Minister, but it is entirely a matter for members to decide whether and how to use the corrections procedure. First Minister.
Further point of order to that, Presiding Officer. As ministers have said, that figure is no longer appropriate to use because it is out of date. But let me think. I think Alex Cole-Hamilton would want me to put a complete picture before this chamber. So there are statements that he didn't include in his point of order. I'll give two. Scotland has a major role to play in this, with an estimated 25% of Europe's offshore wind potential. That was a statement from Lib Dem Minister Michael Moore. Or secondly, we have more offshore wind power than the rest of the world combined. That was Lib Dem leader Vince Cable. So if it is the case that Alex Cole-Hamilton is so distressed at the use of that figure by Scottish Government ministers, perhaps in the interest of completeness, he would also refer to his own colleagues who used exactly the same figure. The fact of the matter is we have massive renewable potential, and that is what Alex Cole-Hamilton doesn't like.
Thank you, First Minister. That was not a point of order. Your comments are, however, on the record. Point of order, Alex Cole-Hamilton.
Order. I seek your clarification around correction of the official report, because I believe the First Minister has once again trotted out the suggestion that whilst that statistic is, in her words, no longer accurate. Presiding Officer, the UK Statistical Authority wrote to me yesterday to say that it was never accurate, and frankly, I find that broadside attack on me personally beneath her.